This is part 2 in our course, Wholeness and Holiism. And as we said in the first part, this course is about the interconnectedness of all things. In our current Earth paradigm, we dismiss this interconnectedness and follow a path of separation consciousness, either not wanting to go this route because of lack of evidence, or following the doctrine of separation that we have been indoctrinated with. When we speak of wholeness and holism, we have to look at the bigger picture and analyze all the components. In particular, we need to understand the mechanics of creation, the fractal nature of the universe, soul evolution, the multidimensional universe, mastering the hologram, time, space, and timelines, as these form the basis for more fully understanding wholeness and holism. In part 1 of this course, we examined the theory of wholeness and holism. And we said on the one hand you have holism, and on the other hand you have separation. And holism is a etheric reality, and we will unpack that a lot more in this second part. Separation is about physical reality, which doesn't acknowledge etheric reality. The one, holism, is the cause, and separation is the effect. Waves cause particles. Light causes information. Sound causes emotion. Rhythm causes frequency. Chi, life force energy, creates animation. In the universe, the wholeness can be described as a hologram, and in our 3D separation consciousness, it is a hologram. Holism holds truth, and separation creates truth seekers. Holism creates objectivity, and separation creates subjectivity. Holism is about who we really are, and separation is who we appear to be. Holism has been debated for a long time, even since the time of Aristotle and Plato. Modern-day science excludes this notion that there exists a fifth element known as ether. This is a grave mistake because some scientists, like Nikola Tesla and Dayton Miller, prove conclusively that not only does ether exist, but that the universe consists entirely of ether. Ether is the fifth state of water and has all the properties of water. That is, it is intelligent, it holds memory, and carries information. Let's take a look at this more closely.
What is ether? Ether is a unique essence of life force energy that flows through the universe and most of existence, the source of quintessence, chi, aura, and mana. It is the mystical, celestial element that is also known as the fifth element: fire, water, earth, air, and ether. In Plato's Timaeus, speaking on the topic of air, Plato mentions that they are the most translucent kind, which is called by the name of ether. There are 4 different types of ether: warmth, impulse creating, binding biological force; light, makes things visible, upright force in plants and humans; tone, chemical, structures development of phenomena; and life, unifies an object and its environment. One claim is that the ether is the pure essence that the mythological gods lived and breathed in the same way humans did with air. Another claim is that the ether is a force used by God himself to create the universe. Another reference would be in the Hermeticist book, the Kybalion, that not only explains its nature, but the plane it comes from. There have been many claims and theories made by alchemists, philosophers, and scientists, such as Nikola Tesla and Dayton Miller, that confirm the ether's existence. Ether is the medium for every electromagnetic wave, from radio waves to gamma rays. Ether exists in elemental, cosmic, and spiritual forces. This is also recorded in the Kybalion's entries. Energy and spirit. Everything vibrates, known as the principle of vibration. All energy moves, vibrates, and spirals. The differences between different manifestations of matter, form, energy, mind, and spirit are the result of different degrees of vibration. Levels and layers. There are three basic planes of being: the great physical plane, earth; the great mental plane, air, fire, water, and earth; the great spiritual plane, ether. Spirits are believed to be ethereal beings that are basically made of ether. Experiments on the ether. The concept of ether was used in several theories to explain several natural phenomena, such as the speed of light and gravity. In the late 19th century, physicists postulated that ether permeated all throughout space, providing a medium through which light waves could travel in a vacuum. The result of that test was that they were unsuccessful in proving that the luminous ether wind exists in the Michelson-Morley experiment. The experiment was performed in 1887 by Albert A. Michelson and Edward W. Morley at what is now Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. They suspected that the ether wind followed in one direction, but that is not the case, and so all the experiments that have been performed have been with little results. In other words, they expected it to be measurable in a way that is in an incorrect method of measuring ether. What I find interesting is that a great scientist by the name of Dayton Miller had positive results and is usually left out of the conversation when it comes to proving the ether's existence. Dayton Miller was a scientific leader of the 20s and 30s. He led the leading science journal of the time. Miller provided beyond any doubt that the ether was real. He destroyed the relativists so badly and exposed their lies with such ferocity that they had to wait 14 years till after his death before they could bribe enough people to ignore his work. But there were far more experiments done afterwards that provided the existence of the ether, all of whom they willingly choose to ignore. I believe that I have really found the relationship between gravitation and electricity, assuming that the Miller experiments are based on a fundamental error. Otherwise, the whole relativity theory collapses like a house of cards. The history of science records the 1887 ether drift experiment of Albert Michelson and Edward Morley as a pivotal turning point where the energetic ether of space was discarded by mainstream physics. Thereafter, the postulate of empty space was embraced, along with related concepts which demanded constancy and light speed, such as Albert Einstein's relativity theory. The now famous Michelson-Morley experiment is widely cited in almost all the physics textbooks for its claimed null or negative results. Less known, however, is the far more significant and detailed work of Dayton Miller. Miller's 1933 paper in Reviews of Modern Physics details the positive results from over 20 years of experimental research into the question of ether drift and remains the most definitive body of work on the subject of light beam interferometry. Dayton Miller's work on ether drift was so constructed and yielded consistently positive results. The so-called experts denied the existence of ether, and yet it's no wonder why it seems like we are coming close to a dead end when it comes to science. Perhaps it's about time that we try some new experiments with modern-day equipment. What do you think? Nikola Tesla once said that the day scientists begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence. Another thing to consider is that these tests are based on a spherical Earth model and has never been tested on a flat Earth model that I am aware of. Hey, you never know. Leave no stone unturned. Tesla and the ether. Only the existence of a field of force can account for the motions of the bodies as observed, and its assumption dispenses with space curvature. All literature on this subject is futile and destined to oblivion. So are all the attempts to explain the workings of the universe without recognizing the existence of the ether and the indispensable function it plays in the phenomena. My second discovery was of a physical truth of the greatest importance, as I have searched the entire scientific records in more than a half dozen languages for a long time without finding the least anticipation. I consider myself the original discoverer of this truth, which can be expressed by the statement, "There is no energy in matter other than that received from the environment." Nikola Tesla. In the 20th century, Nikola Tesla discovered many inventions through his research, which involved ether energy. With around 300 patents to his name and many breakthrough inventions, Nikola Tesla is one of the greatest scientists that ever lived, if not the greatest. Was the Great Pyramids and Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower used to harness ether energy? Tesla began building the Wardenclyffe Tower around 1902, and he applied a nearly identical form of ancient technology used in Egypt's Great Pyramid over 4,000 years ago. Tesla's tower was believed to have been built upon aquifers, which means that the electric technology used by Tesla is nearly identical to that applied in the construction of the Great Pyramid and the Pyramid of Chichen Itza. The ancient builders of the Great Pyramid took advantage of the water of the Nile River at the Giza Plateau. Interestingly, the Giza Plateau where the pyramids are located is full of underground water channels. The pyramids of the Giza Plateau rise above limestone layers located underneath aquifers, and the spaces in between them are filled with great amounts of water, and these layers of rock are capable of transmitting energy upwards as they carry the underground water to the surface. This means that the high volume flow of water that passes through these underground cavities is capable of producing an electrical current. As for the Pyramid of Chichen Itza, a study has shown that a natural sinkhole, also known as a cenote, is located underneath the pyramid. Experts have found it is connected to other caverns and lakes in the area. The water filling the cavern is thought to run from north to south. This means that the Pyramid of Chichen Itza sits upon a subterranean water source, just as Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower and the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the Pyramid of Chichen Itza, and Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower were very similar systems that generated power using the Earth's electromagnetic field, and possibly so that ether energy could be absorbed and utilized as a source of energy. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built on the Earth's fifth chakra location and on intersecting ley lines. Tesla's Tower and the Pyramid of Chichen Itza were also located on ley lines. All megalithic structures have been strategically built on top of these ley lines. Tesla was probably onto some major breakthroughs and discoveries using the ether element. His main goal was to create free energy for the whole world. This great work has been concealed by greedy people for centuries, and because of greed by the money-hungry monopoly elite investors and the owners of the power companies, he got shut down. When Tesla died, the FBI banned and seized all of his work, especially his work that involved the use of ether energy. Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, a professor at MIT and a well-known electrical engineer serving as a technical aide to the National Defense Research Committee, was called in to analyze the Tesla items, which were being held in custody. Tesla's research on ether energy has been declared as secret records by the United States government. Truth has a way of surfacing, and there will be a day when all the world will see all of Nikola Tesla's great inventions come to life. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I'm no expert scientist, but I am a good investigator. And what I am saying is that the secret to a prosperity future and endless possibilities for this world will be found in the ether energy element, and I believe that Tesla was getting very close to unlocking its secrets. Possibly one of the clues is found in the mysterious 369 quote that apparently comes from Nikola Tesla. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. Does this quote really come from Tesla? It is unknown. But I do believe that the secret is in the ether element. according to the research done by God's Alchemy Group, who has a great documentary on YouTube called Polaris Star. They say that there are already 5 elements with the addition of sky of the physical world, and that the ether energy is found in all the 5 elements: fire, water, air, earth, and sky. They then go on to say that from the beginning of the Copper Age and up to about 2,000 years ago, there was a strong belief that 5 elements consist of the ether element, but some scientists today are not accepting this as fact, and for that reason, they are not getting the complete equation of unified field theory, or theory of everything. Ether has interaction with the 5 elements through a unified geometric field, and not through unified field equations. The dark energy that is being searched by today's scientists is nothing more than the ether element. Science is considering ether as an imaginary element, which is a big mistake. The day when science begins to study the ether element, then all the powers of the universe will be revealed. In reality, we are not this body which is mortal. We are metaphysical light energy. It is very subtle, immortal, eternal, and cannot be seen with our eyes or by a microscope. The human eye can only see certain energies, and there are also energies that we cannot see with the human eye, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. All religions consider God as the universal light. God is light, literally. God alone, who is immortal and lives in unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or can see. When humanity begins to open-mindedly study the metaphysical powers, God, soul, and ether, then it will be possible to know the secret that science and spirituality are one and the same. When we realize this and put it into action, then it will be possible to create heaven on earth. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. Visit Maggie'sHolisticsNY.com for great health supplements.
So what is the shape of the universe? And what role does the ether play in the universe? Well, let's find out.
So we invested in wind, we invested in solar, we invested in biomass. We're all about increasing energy efficiency and finding new, renewable, clean sources of energy. We don't yet have the technological breakthroughs that can completely replace fossil fuels. Unless somebody here invents something tomorrow, which would be very helpful. And if you have it, let me know.
With all due respect, Mr. President, this is me letting you know. I'm here representing the Vortex-based mathematics project, which was founded by my teacher, Marco Rodin. Nearly 40 years ago, Marco discovered an unknown mathematical language inherent to nature. Now I found the key of how to model it in three-dimensional space. The importance of this discovery cannot be underestimated. With it, I believe we can create inexhaustible clean energy, produce unlimited food, end all diseases, travel anywhere in the universe, build the ultimate supercomputer, and obsolete all existing technology. How is it possible that we make such outrageous claims? It's because we have the secret that connects all the world's technologies into one: numbers. A living language, A jigsaw puzzle that, when pieced together, no longer forms an approximation or a rendition of reality. Numbers are reality, neither imaginary, nor irrational, nor arbitrary. Numbers are actually a waveform that folds out into a 3D shape, defining space and time literally. The shape of a torus, nature's original donut, many believe may hold the key to creating a clean and sustainable environment for future generations. We can tap what has been referred to as the 0-point energy, sometimes referred to as free energy, and already the evidence and traces of that exist in very simple home-built technology.
This technology has been around for centuries.
In this demonstration, we're using a 12-volt battery which feeds into a simple circuit that creates a sound frequency. That sound frequency is then fed into the coil, and then it comes out in the form of usable light. Now, the important thing here is that we're able to light 98 LEDs at a fraction of the energy consumption that it would normally take to light around 8 LEDs. So we're getting 90 more LEDs for less energy consumption. We stumbled upon the vortex math of Randy Powell and Marco Rodin and began to expand on their concepts.
This technology is not to be privatized or owned by any individual or corporation, but is instead our desire to open source it to the public, and in the process to make a film documenting the construction, the development, and the investigation of both the math and the technology. The problem is not the lack of a collective desire for a positive future, but the lack of a collective vehicle for positive actions. Humanity doesn't have to have a dark future, and it's not going anywhere that we don't steer it. We have a technology in our hands that can boom the market of alternative energy, solar cells, and electric vehicles, and change our world forever. We have already achieved the impossible, but now we need your help to make the impossible an everyday experience. What we have is the grand unified field theory. With it, you can create inexhaustible free energy, end all diseases, produce unlimited food, travel anywhere in the universe, build the ultimate supercomputer, artificial intelligence, and obsolete all existing technology. And with it, you can do all the functions of all the branches of math instantly. It displays a perfect spin symmetry of numbers, forming mirror images just like our two hands, a feat that's baffled countless scientists and mathematicians. When you look at this symbol, you immediately see it's composed of two aspects. One is this lazy 8, or the infinity symbol, and the other is the red pyramid at the top. The infinity symbol is the equation for the physical world we live in. It's a circuit or a pathway of motion. 6 numbers that form a hexagon. Thus, such diverse phenomena as light polarizing, beehives, Saturn's North Pole, and snowflakes are all versions of this hexagon. These shapes form pathways for any matter in motion, which is never straight, but always at an angle. Nothing in the physical world ever moves in a straight line, not a bullet shooting, not lightning coming down out of the sky. Everything is a coil, even a photon coming from a distant star, proving relativity exists. Our body is called this mortal coil. Our DNA is a coil, and it's no coincidence that it matches our equation perfectly. It makes us into a vortex machine that sucks things in at the top and shoots them out at the bottom.
Our bodies are toroidal systems, our planet is a toroidal system, and all vortex energy works in the same fashion.
The center of electricity is magnetism. At the center of magnetism is a flux. It's a higher dimensional energy known by many names such as dark energy, tachyons, monopoles, gravitons. We call it Aetheron energy. It's the energy that's keeping us conscious and alive, and it's not a static or stationary energy. It's a pulse, it's a surge, it's the beating heart of all existence. It's the ultimate fundamental particle in the universe, the God particle, and I know how to harness it. This energy is the source of all time, motion, and vibration. It's the only thing that comes from the whole, or the zero, the center of the cyclone. It emanates linearly in all directions, penetrating everything without any resistance. It cannot be shielded. As it penetrates, it leaves a grain. It shows you how things move, how they stick together or come apart. It animates everything. It's the source of the non-decaying spin of the electron. If you combine it with a coil, you get a perfect mathematical vortex consisting of a positive electromagnetic energy radiating out and a negative backdraft counter space, which is the same as gravity. It allows for contraction. Aetherons are literally the glue that holds the universe together. Einstein called it an inertia ether. Ultimately, when this is arrayed in true 3D shape, which is what I discovered, it forms a shape commonly known as a torus or a donut. This experiment you're going to watch while I finish my talk, I want you to keep in mind when you're watching this magnet spinning around, there's no energy going into this coil. It's totally turned off. And I'll continue. Your blood cells are a torus. DNA is a torus. Magnetic field, galaxies, all toruses. It's a one-way living systemic electrical machine, a self-sustaining jet. You might say a flying saucer. I found the way to calculate this torus in a perfect 3D, 4D, and higher mathematical hologram that can be scaled up and down to infinity, and which we now call the Abha torus. Or sometimes we refer to it by Marco's name, which is the flux thruster, atom pulsar, electrical venturi, space-time implosion field generator coil. And with it, it's possible to create a localized space-time implosion, a controlled desktop black hole. That magnet's still spinning. There's no energy in the coil. This is the final technology, the Philosopher's Stone, a reactionless drive unaffected by any weight that it carries. It's a true model of an atom, and with it I have the key to the periodic table, which a professor from the University of North Carolina told me could be the greatest scientific discovery of all time. We can, for the first time, cross from one science to another, unbroken, whether it's subatomic physics, periodic table, computer science, DNA. Remember, I said cure all diseases, artificial intelligence, all the result of ether-on flux fields. And so simply put, this torus does it all. It's a blueprint for a perfectly efficient magnetic field generating coil, a spaceship, a surgical tool, a supercomputer, and even a high-fidelity speaker all in one. Are such things possible? Frankly, yes, they are. And my team is ready to develop them at any time. What you see here was just from the most primitive approximation of my work. But the truth and reality of our project is it suffered from a tremendous lack of attention. It has been peer-reviewed by some of the best names in science. But because of our unwillingness to sell it out for private interests, it remains in the hands of exhausted volunteers like myself. Our goal is to create a grassroots energy and technology revolution by turning this information, this knowledge over to the public in an open source project. Science museum exhibits for kids, a simple book, a simple DVD. That's all we're looking to do. And by that, we want to turn it into the hands of the people to produce and save the whole world. Thank you very much.
You saw in this video that the ether is an energy force that exists in the universe, and that it carries electric and magnetic waves and electric and magnetic particles, that it can suspend an iron ball in a gravitational field. So the ether is really the key to everything that we need to learn in this planet. So in the next part 3, we're going to delve more deeply into this and understand more of how the ether relates to us, particularly how everything in our hologram together. So I look forward to sharing with you, and thanks for watching, and don't forget to watch part 3 of this course.